I consider that art is always a question for those who are observing, and it is a question that creates connections between the self, the environment, the divine. And this question is often an incentive for the person to reflect on something, and that something is something that is normally within it. In my process, I use the previous study a lot, and I use the computer a lot. There is almost a part design. After I have all the pieces ready, then there is a process here almost of assembly and new thinking. This time with everything in the material to understand if the piece makes sense as I idealized it on the computer, or if it makes sense, it is otherwise. So what I do is play with shapes and colors. And sometimes I'm looking at them and trying to understand what each shape wants to say to the other. And they talk, they communicate, and they transmit feelings. So, as I move them around, I notice if she feels good there. This conveys the harmony or balance that you get in each piece. This is a recent piece. It is new. It has never been exhibited. And it is a piece that arises with the need to... It is a wake-up call to do it differently. And doing it differently also involves this. Usually one of the most used supports in terms of plastic arts will probably be the canvas. This is a bit of denying the screen and saying, no, let's do it another way. Oh, come is born off the screen. This is a static piece, but I, if I want, can introduce some movement here. This interaction with no, this walking around it. It creates doubts in me about the way I should interact with it. From this perspective, I have a broad perspective. I have a piece that has a significant expression, but from this perspective, it almost disappears. So in art, it's this provocation. When I idealize a piece like this, or any piece or a work of art, my intention is not for the person to remember me. My intention is that the person does not forget himself, so that he makes this exchange between the form, between the color, and between what goes on in his soul internally and what worries him, for example. What makes art also interesting for the creator is this moment of deciding. Decide how things will turn out. So, art is also this game. It's the placement of more elements. What does that bring me? So, art, aesthetics, harmony is this game of elements. Geometry, for me, is the language I like to use to convey some of the information I receive. I am an industrial designer by training, and objects also require some aesthetic rigor, some rigor of forms that also have to do with the way they are going to be produced. And that turns out to be, perhaps, a comfort zone for me, isn't it? But I also try to start disconnecting a little bit of that, even to try other things, and use more manual processes, freer ways. The fact that I paint, and paint with a brush, and there is the movement of the hand, that there is no longer as much control in the way I have in digital and on the computer, for example. But it is a language that I have adapted, that I like, that I master, because it has been many years of practice. And I think that it is also necessary to master the geometric language, because otherwise obtaining harmony is not easy. Inspiration is a very easy thing to talk about, because you can't explain it.